Okay, couple of things. First of all, let me just be very clear in terms of where I stand on many of the issues that we all care about. First, on Social Security. Uh, I know, and you know, you can't live in dignity when you're trying to survive on $14,000 a year in Social Security benefits. And so, you know, I have some bad news for our Republican new speaker and our Republican colleagues, because uh, right now, and if you support me in my campaign for the United States Senate, I'm going to fight to expand Social Security and not allow them to cut Social Security. We're going to make sure that women and people of color get their fair share by making sure that they get equal pay on the front end. Because when you earn less, your check looks a whole lot smaller. Despite Republican attacks on Social Security, we're still talking about the most successful government program in our nation's history. These are earned benefits. Through good times and bad times, Social Security has paid every nickel owed to every eligible American on time and without delay. So I was so proud to sign CARA's pledge. This was again in 2005 to protect Social Security. And believe me, I've been fighting tooth and nail every day since. And I know what my marching orders are. We cannot cut Social Security, and we cannot raise the retirement age, because every single American has a right to a secure retirement and the opportunity to age in place in the community. And let me just say, you know, my mother worked for Social Security Administration for years. And in fact, I don't know what she would have done had she not had her retirement from Social Security. She passed away at 90 years old. My aunt is 102 years old currently. And believe you me, personally, I know what Social Security and Medicare provide in your golden years. We need to pass the Social Security Expansion Act, which would keep the Social Security Trust Fund solvent for 75 years by lifting the payroll cap. And that also includes capital gains and dividends for people making more than $350,000 a year. And that's very important, because it's also really important to remind people that 95% of Americans wouldn't see their taxes go up one penny, not one penny. And so we've got to work to pass this bill, and we need to do it quickly. Secondly, let me just mention pensions. Half of older Americans have no retirement savings and no idea how they will ever be able to retire with any shred of dignity. So I was very proud to support President Biden's efforts to ensure that 3 million workers' pension plans remain solvent and pay full benefits through at least 2051. But to be honest, that is not enough. In my mind, we need to expand defined benefit pension plans in America, which sadly are an endangered species in our country. Instead of asking retirees to take a massive cut in their pension benefits, of course, when I'm senator, we will make multi-employer plans solvent by closing all these horrible loopholes that allow the wealthiest Americans in this country to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. If Congress could provide a multi-trillion bailout to Wall Street and foreign banks in 2008, we can and we must protect the pensions that were promised to millions of Americans. Third, let me just address the outrageous state of our healthcare system. Let's take stock of where we are. 55% of senior citizens are trying to survive on an income of less than $25,000 a year. $25,000 a year. In California, that's not even an income that barely meets survival requirements and needs. And senior citizens deserve not only to survive, but to thrive. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans can't afford the medicine their doctors prescribe. And because Medicare doesn't cover, and this is really important that I've worked with Senator Sanders on, doesn't cover dental, hearing, or vision. There are millions of lower income seniors who don't have teeth because they can't afford dental care. That is really absurd in the wealthiest and the most powerful country in the world. So of course, when I'm in the Senate, my plan is to add dental and vision coverage to Medicare, and I'm going to fight with Senator Sanders to get this done. I'm the only person in this race who signed on to the very first Medicare for All bill in Congress. It took one of my colleagues, Representative Schiff, more than a decade to get on board. But I try to do what's right, not what's popular, because I know to my core that in America, your health should not be dependent on your wealth. Healthcare is a human right that all Americans, regardless of income, are entitled to, and they deserve the best healthcare that our country can provide. The last thing, and let me address this because housing is so important, especially for us in California. Nearly half of our renters face the greatest housing shortage are seniors. Seniors. Nearly half of single adults living on our streets are over the age of 50. And 41% of those older senior Californians have never been homeless, not one day in their lives before the age of 50. That is really a shame and disgrace. It's time for the federal government to get involved in California's housing and homelessness crisis. And I'm very proud to have introduced the Renters Bill of Rights, which would make a $70 billion investment in public housing and a $45 billion investment in the construction of affordable housing and a $180 billion investment in rental assistance to help people stay housed. Also, I'm a proud co-sponsor of the Housing for All Act, which would address our housing crisis by investing in housing choice vouchers, project-based rental assistance, and street outreach. So I intend to, once I'm elected to the Senate, fully fund the Section 8 rental assistance program. And yes, we have to establish a national rent control standard. And also we must drive funding to the McKinney-Vento homelessness assistance grants to build permanent supportive housing specifically for seniors. So when I talk about the conditions facing people in this state, I'm not just talking about wages and income. I'm talking about whether people can access the basic necessities of life, a secure retirement, being able to see a doctor, having a roof over your head. And believe you me, my friends, these are not radical ideas. You better believe that when I'm in the Senate, I expect to be hearing from you as I hear from you now. And I want you as my partners as we drive forward an agenda that creates a country that we can all be proud of. And so I want to thank you again for having us here today, but also for staying vigilant and for making sure that we know exactly how to stay on point on behalf of our senior citizens as it relates to your economic security. And just know that I intend to continue to fight to make sure that these people do not privatize Social Security. And we need to expand Medicare, and we need to make sure that the economic security of our retired citizens are truly secure. Thank you again.